All right, and welcome back to our Queen City Clash today. Today is the final bracket. It's all the day that we've been waiting for. We are in our losers final. I'm joined today here by Dividing Devin, our ultimate caster that we have missed here at the University of Cincinnati. UC alum.
Too sweet.
I know our UC Overwatch president was very happy to bring him back, and you guys have seen him yesterday as well. So both me and him will be casting the losers finals and the grand finals that will be proceeding after this matchup. But going in today, we have a Miami University of Ohio versus Purdue University. I think it's just a bronze, but it's really the only one that participates in lands, I believe. But how are you feeling about both of these teams?
I mean, both these teams have proven their worth throughout the weekend. I mean, Purdue made it all the way to the winners finals. They pretty much handled everyone that was on their side of the bracket until they ran into Cincinnati in the finals. And Miami, I mean, I mentioned this yesterday, but they're a team that when I was talking to people before the event, when they were talking about the teams that they were worried about, they said that Miami was probably the team to beat. And that is, of course, before Cincinnati came out and reverse swept them yesterday in what was one of the coolest matches I've casted in a very long time. But that doesn't change the fact that Miami is still extremely strong, and now they have a fire under them to make it back to that grand finals and have a second shot at Cincy.
They do. They brought in another player. It's Shocker that you see there. So that he was missing yesterday.
I'm a big Shocker fan.
Yeah, he was missing yesterday.
I know I'm a UC alum, but Shocker is also my guy. So.
Yeah. Well, if you did tune in for our last match before we cut to the break, Sue Hanth and Zetsubo both made really extremely well plays on their for Purdue in the losers bracket there. Purdue did win over not OU. They just won in general, and they got here against Miami. And like you said, Miami is the team to be in the losers bracket here. We may see Miami versus UC, the Battle of the Bell, like you mentioned yesterday, or we may see Purdue. It's really too close to call because both teams are very, very sufficient in their team compositions.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, so starting out on our first map here, it is Samoa, one of the newest introduced maps.
I think it is the newest map, right?
It is,
At least at this point. So I'm going to be honest, I actually... This maybe shows my age as a caster and how I kind of haven't done it in a while, but I've never actually casted a Samoa map before, so this might be the one situation where you know more than I do. So as we head into this first submap of Volcano, what are you expecting both of these teams to bring out?
I'm really expecting more of a speed dive comp or more or less a brawly comp. We've seen a lot of Junker Queen being played, a lot of Ramatra as well. I think Ramatra, especially on this map on Volcano, is very, very viable. Ramatra getting up in your face very fast and just able to dish out a lot of damage. Also, it is worth noting that Zetsubo did have a fantastic time on Tracer in the previous match with Purdue. He may potentially go for the Reaper pick here, but Tracer with a Ramatra as well as a Mei, just that ultimate trio combo does, you're able to dish out significant amounts of damage, and getting that first early elimination on a support would really make or break your team composition.
Yes, and that's exactly what we see from both of these squads coming out with that Ramatra-based composition, and in fact, it is going to be a full mirror here. Both teams going for the Mei Reaper composition, just going to basically slam their faces into each other and see whose teeth breaks first.
Starting out strong here, both teams are going right ahead, full steam ahead, like you said. That Mei wall does come down, which, already Jay Shen is on extremely low HP and gets saved in the nick of time, but Bonesaw takes down Sub, and Jay Shen finally goes out as well. A really, really good start there for Miami.
Yeah, and in these kinds of first fights where no ultimates are up yet, milliseconds can mean the difference, and in that time around, Miami was able to, whether it was more efficiently use their Lucio speed boost or whatever it was, they were able to take control of the center of the map just before Purdue was able to get there, and because they made it there just a little bit earlier, they're able to take up positions and just force Purdue into a very bad corner, and this has now forced Purdue to go around to the side for the second fight.
It has indeed. They're really going to be looking around, dishing out that damage on J-Chen. Once you get out that tank, you can really move full steam ahead, put the wheels on the cart. But, Purdue is looking very strong already. They came back after a very fast team fight initially, and now they've regained control of that point. You know, Miami did only get 23%, but just winning a team fight can get you 20 to 30%, which is, you know, very crucial for these types of matchups.
And they didn't have to use any ults to do it either, which is absolutely crucial because Sunath is going to be able to hold on to that coalescence and counter shockers on the other side.
Blizzard does come out from Winter. It doesn't really, you know, he gets that pick on J-Shen like I talked about before. Also, that Reaper ultimate, you know, that is something to look at as well. But once again, Miami coming out on top again after that team fight. It almost looked like it was going to break into a sloppy mess, but, you know, Bonesaw and Winter both worked together, and they brought that back.
Incredibly well done, but notably only one team actually used their Blizzard in that fight. So that's going to be a huge resource that Purdue has that Miami is not going to have. What Miami is going to have is every other ultimate in the bank, though. Bonesaw, Kabunga, Pooter, all up to those ults, and that against one Blizzard is looking pretty good for the Redhawks.
Bonesaw with that Reaper ultimate as well. Doesn't get anything out of that, but it does force out that annihilation from J-Chen. Still nothing quite happening yet. Notably, Sub 1 does go down on that Mei. It's still a 4v5, or a 5v4 rather, if you will. The annihilation is still going up. Annihilation, sorry. But Pooter Scooter finally comes out after a long, just standard team fight there. And, you know, Miami is approaching almost 80% here on this capture point. Probably only one more team fight here.
Okay, now it's getting a little long. I mentioned that Sub did not use the Blizzard in the last fight, didn't use it this fight either, and Winter's gonna lap Sub before Sub uses a first Blizzard. In fact, yeah, Blizzard's gonna lose 2 Blizzards in the time it took Sub to use 1, so maybe a little bit too long there for Purdue.
The coalescences are going out. Purdue is looking strong. Now it's a 5v3 or a 3v5. You know, they really have to get on that point as it's approaching 99, and they do. You know, Sub's Blizzard dropping that right on top of Winter's Blizzard as well. You just have 2 Blizzards going at once. You know, Winter can't push and Sub can't push, so it's kind of just to stay right where you are until these Blizzards are gone. And that allowed Pooter Scooter and Bonesaw to come around. They did get picked off.
Be very quiet.
Zetsubo.
Can we get on the Zetsubo right now?
Yeah.
Zetsubo is hunting wabbits. And wabbits, I mean Wedhawks. Around the side. No one's seeing the Reaper coming, and in he goes! And it gets eaten up completely by Pooter.
Pooter just drops in. It's both cosmetic ults out. Nothing happens.
I love the spirit with Zetsubo. Unfortunately, you did just happen to get into Pooter's face and was able to nullify almost all of that damage. And it's just a neutral fight from this point on. All that we really had were the 2 Death Blossoms, but the beat's going to come in from Kabunga, and it's going to allow Miami to surge forward here, take down Zetsubo, which was the main source of damage for Purdue. So any attack from Purdue at this point is going to be a little bit stunted, but they have no choice but to get back into this fight with us being at 99-99, and it gives J-Chen enough time to build up to that annihilation. But as they were playing a little more passively, they were forced to get off the point. It is now on Miami, so they have to get back. But the Blizzard comes out from Sub 1. Maybe heard my criticisms a little bit earlier, but that was perfectly executed onto Pooter Scooter, and it allows Purdue to get back onto this point. The Blizzard now from Winter in response is going to zone people away, buy a little bit of space, a little bit of time for Purdue, but they are still standing strong on the point. It finally flips over as Winter goes down. It's looking like as the kill feed glows red, Purdue might have just done enough to pull this out as Zetsubo with the Death Blossom to end it.
Purdue will come up out on top there. I was about to mention that, you know, they did take out Pooter Scooter really early there. They weren't able to get on point. It was still like a 5v4 there. You know, Miami was down their tank. I was gonna say, if you're taking too long, you allow Pooter Scooter to get back and re-challenge. But you know, just in that backline, Zetsubo does come in and clean up that fight after, you know, a really long team fight there.
Really long. I felt like we had like an entire ult cycle happen during that fight. Is that what it's usually like to play Samoa? Is that how that works?
Not usually. Volcano goes very quick, so I'm surprised. You know, you have that dip down right in the middle of point, and some people just fall down there, and they're taken out of the team fight completely. But notably, Zetsubo... Oh, nope, he swaps back to that Reaper. I was going to say he had it hovered on that Ash.
You've been baited, my friend. You've been baited.
We still have the same team compositions on both sides.
Yep, exactly the same from both sides. The strategies are not changing at all. We're just changing locations. It's still both teams slamming their faces into each other immediately, and Sub 1 is going to get just a little bit out of sorts, taken out by the pummel of Pooter Scooter. And that should be enough for Miami to take full control of the point right away. Yeah, Purdue is just going to back off, allow first point control to go the way of the Red Hawks.
And Zetsubo does swap over to that Ash, and notably Ash against a Reaper can be viable sometimes. You know, Ash does have the long-range control, but if you just mess up with that coach gun...
You do go Ash.
Yeah, if you mess up with that coach gun, Reaper can just get right up in your face and drain your HP. And that's what we see here. You know, if I was Miami, you just go right on Zetsubo once you hear that coach gun go off. Miami still approaching with over 20%, and now they're just kind of stalling out this first choke point here. Just letting down the heat on J-Chen is the main game here. That forces out the Coalescence as well. You know, Purdue is down 1 ultimate now, and this might be the chance for Miami just to go in and hopefully go for that team kill.
Coalescence comes out from Shocker, and it is going to go ahead and clean up and actually get some nice staggers for Miami as well. That is going to allow crucial percentage points to tick up for Miami as they cross the 50% threshold, and all they needed to use that fight was the Coalescence too. Pooter, Winter, Bonesaw, Kabunker are all going to have their ults in this one. They are looking in an incredibly strong position.
Yes, they do, and J-Chen, oh, Sub 1 drops out an early Blizzard here. It looks like nobody is frozen. It does push it back Miami quite significantly. Bonesaw does go down as his Reaper ultimate won't be able to be used. Pooter Scooter dropping out the Annihilation as well. Both Annihilations are up. There is a lot of damage coming out from both sides here. It is still an even fight here, still going. J-Chen is still laying down those pummels, and it looks like Purdue will come out potentially on top here as 90% is coming very close for Miami.
Yeah, you're still very happy with that if you're Miami.
Yeah.
One more fight win will pretty much send us to a round 3, but Purdue has given themselves life. They have an opportunity. But they just have to win something like 4 fights in a row. It's an uphill battle, but a battle nonetheless that they can take. Especially with Tom having the beat up in this fight, it's going to be really big to potentially deal with the Death Blossom from Bonesaw.
J-Chen going down here very early would be detrimental to Purdue. He needs to stay up. That forces out the beat from Tom.
Oh, that was early.
Yeah, Purdue only has that Coalescence now, which it comes out again early. Bonesaw dropping that Reaper ultimate right on top. The backline takes out 2 and lets Miami regain control. Purdue needs to regroup very quickly as they only have about 5% to try to recontest this.
I don't know if they're even going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to recontest this. And
oh,
the Moira.
Moira got in there.
And she goes down very quickly, and it looks like Miami will take our second sub-map here.
I really loved the spirit that King was swapping to Ash in the middle of the map, but man, it just didn't work at all for Purdue. You kind of end up in a close situation regardless, and Ash is just like not very effective in those like close range, you're in a tiny room kind of situations, and then when you had the switch back to Reaper, you just completely lost all of your ult charge, or most of your ult charge, so you were kind of behind Bonesaw for the rest of the map. So a little difficult. I like it, the idea for Purdue. It doesn't end up working out, but now as we head into our final round of Downtown, our tiebreaker, what a surprise. Neither team is changing anything.
They are very firm on their comp choices. It's just a matter of how you play these comp lineups. You know, both are playing extremely similar right now. As you can see, the Reapers are pretty much frontlining on both sides here. But getting out a tank would, you know, allow your team to really just streamline right into the other and clean everything else up. But it is just back and forth still by both of these teams here. And it looks like Winter goes down early, 4v5 now in favor of Purdue. Suhanth does do, getting that coalescence early. You can see Suhanth almost has coalescence only 1 minute and 30 seconds into this matchup. Purdue looking very strong after this team fight.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I think the coalescence was more of a flex than anything else. It does get some nice stagger kills, but I don't think Purdue needed to use it. Actually, it kind of puts you in a weird spot because now Shocker is going to have the coalescence up next fight for Miami, and you're not going to have a competing coalescence to do anything about it. You're just going to have the beat from Tom. But Shocker is going to have the coalescence as well as the Blizzard from Winter, the Death Blossom from Bonesaw. It's all coming up.
That coalescence is forced out after Purdue Scooter takes an immense amount of damage there. That Reaper right up in your face is a lot. Zetsubo with that Reaper Blossom as well as Tom's beat. This looks like Purdue will secure this fight. Unfortunately, Winter threw that Blizzard, I think a little too late. So, Miami does not have that Blizzard anymore, which can make or break team fights.
Yeah, that is a tough one to lose, and it's actually going to change. No, it is going to. Winter was like, guys, hear me out. And someone else was like, no, don't you dare. Okay, fine, I'll go May again.
Widowmaker on Samoa would have been very, very weird.
I would have been for it, in all fairness.
It looks like Sub 1 may potentially drop out this Blizzard here after a nice May wall there. Coalescence does come out from Suhanth again, forcing out the Annihilation. A lot of ultimates being dropped here. Nothing happening. Bonesaw takes out Sub 1 and Suhanth as well. It's still kind of an even fight, and Miami potentially might come out on top.
Yeah, Miami is looking pretty good, especially because they do have the stabilizing power of the Coalescence if they need it, and importantly, they don't end up needing it, which is huge in a fight where Purdue dumped in everything that they possibly could have. Zetsubo and Tom are kind of close to their ultimates, but it's going to take a little bit of time to build up to that point. What's going to come up quicker is the Blizzard from Winter, and that will be massive.
Shocker dropping out that Coalescence, looking to push back Purdue, and they do as Winter significantly takes out Tom there. Tom with the closest ultimate. Hooter Scooter is just a W King right into Purdue, and the team fight is cleaned up that quick in about 5 seconds. Just Purdue has to go back to the spawn room.
I mean, sometimes it's that easy.
Oh,
you just use the healing from the Coalescence, you press the W key, and you just run over the other team and you win. It really is. Sometimes Overwatch is that simple, everybody.
Winter does hold on to that Blizzard. Potentially an early Blizzard here would help the team fight. Ooh, Bonesaw going down really early there. Zetsubo dropping out the Reaper Blossom. Still no Reaper kills. Suhanth taking out Winter as well. And it looks like Purdue will clean this up. They hold on to 84%. So Miami potentially might be able to recontest here.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
Gonna be really close.
Winter and Pooter are gonna have to swap onto faster heroes now to get back in time. It's actually gonna be an almost full comp swap from Miami to a faster, divier composition just to make sure that they can take a full team fight, but it has reset a lot of their ultimate charges. Suhanth has the Coalescence available to try and melt people down if necessary, but everyone's getting punched around, booped around by Pooter, who has swapped over onto the Doomfist. The Coalescence is out now from Suhanth. Tom has the beat as well if Purdue needs it. But they have to figure things out quick because Bonesaw and Kumbaga are coming up very close to their ultimates. The beat comes out from Tom. It can't use that Death Blossom just yet. Bonesaw uses the Death Blossom, and it doesn't end up using much. Now we see some trades coming out. The Annihilation from J-Chen might be enough for Purdue to clean up this fight. Winter and Kumbunga no longer here. The Blizzard locking down the remaining members of Miami, and the Boilermakers are going to pull out Samoa and take the early lead in the series.
Very well done by Purdue there. Those early eliminations really secured them the Samoa map when they're, in essence, J-Chen absolutely using that Annihilation to really clean up that messy team fight. The May wall was actually really well placed as well. Yeah, right here. This is exactly what we were talking about. That team fight was really messy, and you just had to use that Annihilation. Blizzard was perfectly placed as well, and it was all just perfectly well done by Purdue.
And I think that is a huge kind of stabilizing presence for Purdue as well.
Very
because
much
Miami comes into this series having won both of their games today in a 3-0 fashion. They beat Cleveland State and then they beat Ohio. So they're coming in riding high. Meanwhile, Purdue is coming in having lost to Cincinnati just before this game. So you could say, like, especially in like a long kind of sort of tournament setting like this, you do have to really take into account the potential emotional states that these teams might be in. And Purdue having just lost 3 very close maps to UC, if you were watching that on stream before. They could have been a little bit deflated, but that was a huge win for Purdue to get them mentally and mechanically back on track.
The band does come out on Dorado, and we're heading to Circuit Royale. You know, one of these maps are always fun to watch. It's a very long-ranged map.
I love me some Widowmaker gameplay.
Yeah, Widowmaker. You know, Zenyatta in Season 9 also was very, very viable as well. You see some Zenyatta being played on Circuit in some situations, because if you get a Discord on any high HP target, you know, you could just shred right through them, and that Widowmaker, in essence, if she hits a tank like Ramatra that's not blocking and has that Discord on him, he's down a significant amount of HP, and that just allows your tank to go in and clean up the fight. But going into this Circuit Royale, I honestly think Purdue will do a very, very good job on this, only because Purdue has a really good standpoint, and I think that they probably play better on a defensive standpoint. And looking at this, they are on the attack, but next they'll be on defense, and they'll be able to really hold Miami to a T. But starting out here, like I said, Miami will be on defense first and Purdue on the attack. But I expect good things here.
I don't know if we mentioned this, by the way, but Fossix is going to be coming in for Kabunga in this map. So a sub for the Red Hawks, and I think Kabunga is kind of their Lucio player, the kind of the brawl support that they play when they want to play a little bit faster. But when you want to go with these kind of slower precision supports that allow you to really pump out the damage, Fossix and Shocker is by far the best support line that Miami has to offer. So I think this is a really good swap for them. And I mean, I've seen this team play Circuit Royale yesterday where they looked incredibly strong. I think they're very confident in their double sniper.
Looking at both teams, you know, both teams have played really, really well against, you know, the technical #1 seed UC. You know, Miami, a very close game, like you said. They did have 2 maps. They lost 3-2 after the reverse sweep. But Purdue, worth noting, did push UC to their bones. You know, they made some very scary maps for UC. Absolutely, they were all very close. But, you know, those final moments, you need to make or break your team. And it's just they couldn't really finish what they were doing. So starting out here, we do see that Widowmaker, like you mentioned, on both sides potentially here. And Widowmaker gameplay is always fun to watch.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there are a lot of satisfying things in Overwatch, but having a Widowmaker just calmly go from headshot to headshot is so fun when you get it to happen. And Winter is, I think, one of the best Widowmakers in this entire tournament. So I'm really excited to watch them work.
You technically have 2 snipers here. You have that Widow and Hanzo. Both are able just to shoot from long range and not much punishment. Jay-Shen and, you know, technically Sub 1 are going to be the main ones to look out for as well. Zetsubo really needs to challenge that enemy Hanzo, though, to really push Purdue forward.
It's actually very interesting because Purdue has pretty much given up. They said, we don't want to play the Widow 1v1. We're going to go Mei and try and maybe section off your tank, but you're basically allowing Winter to have long-range superiority from the start.
Starting out here, Purdue does have a really significant start advantage here. You know, Miami really had a backup after J-Chen just kind of pressed that W key infinitely. Oh, Fossix does get taken down from J-Chen there after some nice hits as well. And it looks like Miami will be forced to back up even more after this first checkpoint. Potentially it does get captured very quickly.
Yeah, they were not expecting a Miami to come out here, and it put a lot of pressure on the ground game for the Red Hawks to try and like stand their ground, and Purdue is just able to keep stepping forward. They're basically daring Winter to hit headshots on them while they approach, and so far it's not quite happening. Without those headshots kind of taking the sails out of this aggression from Purdue, they can just keep on walking forward, and the Mei will allow them to win at the close range every time.
Looking like Miami may potentially finally have that momentum that they need to push Purdue backwards, and they do after Shocker and Fozix both work together to really clean everything up here. And it looks like Purdue will go back to the spawn room, but 4 minutes and 30 seconds remain on the clock after a very quick push there from Purdue.
Yeah, incredibly fast. They have so much time to take this high ground, but the problem is, I mean, I think if you ask people what the most oppressive high ground in the game is, they would say this Point B Circuit Royale high ground right now. Climbing up this mountain it feels like such an arduous task.
That forces out the tranquility there. And a lot of ultimates are going to come out after the Blizzard gets dropped as well. Purdue looking very strong after, they did drop a significant amount of ultimates there, but this potentially will bring a very fast capture as well. You get 3 on the cart.
I think it's worth it in this case because it allows you to push up to that high ground and not have to worry about it for the rest of the day.
Potentially this will give them about 5 minutes again, it looks like. Yep, pretty much right on the dot. My math skills. But starting out,
college students right here, right? College student.
Purdue notably only has 1 ultimate, that Tranquility. Purdue Scooter holds on to that Flux as well. So that might force out the... Wow, okay. I mean, Miami will just go full speed ahead after those dragons from Hanzo come out, and it just lets them get right back on cart in a matter of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, actually very well done from Miami, not necessarily giving any more inches than they have to. I mean, they're basically spawn camping Purdue right now, trying to make sure that they don't get anywhere. Ooh. And here is the Widowmaker from Winter now calmly standing up on the high ground. Really not much pressure at all coming from Purdue to this long-range sniper. So, we'll see what ends up coming of it, because as of right now, I mean, it is hunting season, and all that Purdue can really do is just try and stay out of Winter's sightlines.
Tom is down as the only person with the ultimate on Purdue's side here. Zetsubo, I mean, he gets hit one more time and he's out of the game as well. Oh my gosh. Winter is absolutely hitting those headshots now, and Purdue might need to look towards somebody that can really challenge that Widowmaker now as she drops her eyesight. Oh my gosh, Winter is going crazy with the headshots now. And like you said earlier, I think Widowmaker... Woo! He's hitting everything.
I mean,
yeah.
This is why Infrasight is one of the best ultimates in the game if it's in the right person's hands, right? Like, if you can't hit your shots, then it doesn't mean anything. But in a Widowmaker like Winter, that being able to predict people's movements all the better, it means literally everything. So very well done. But Purdue coming back into this one now is finally forcing Miami to take a step back here because of the threat of that Gravitic Flux that J-Chen has, as well as the Transcendence from Tom.
Nice shots there by Zetsubo. The Graviton Flux comes out and it takes out Pooter Scooter as well. Winter notably another kill on Tom there. Tom is just not allowed to play the game. Winter has eyes on him at all times, but Purdue will continue trucking forward as Miami is forced to regroup here, and it looks like 2 minutes 30 seconds do remain on the clock. No rush for Purdue quite yet. I mean, one more fight here. If Purdue cleans it up, it will allow them to get that 3 capture.
Yeah, and they can play patiently. They can wait until everyone is back onto the point, but losing J-Chen is actually crucial for Purdue. They cannot do this fight without their tank, so they have no choice but to back up, go back to spawn, try and reunite, and Miami's going to take that opportunity to just take so much space. And in fact, how about an Infrasight from Winter to try and grab some staggers here and just try and take the wind out of their sails yet again. Now, Purdue is being smart here, making sure that you just don't give Winter an inch, because you know that they're going to take a mile with that. And now they can come back in with the 4 ultimates that they have available and potentially take this across the finish line.
Yeah.
But with 90 seconds left on the clock, you only get, I'd say, 2 more chances.
Pretty much. I mean, looking at this, they're playing it very well. Securing off Pooter Scooter here is very significant here for Purdue. It's still an even fight as Zetsubo goes down as well here. But getting out Miami's tank is the move that Purdue needs to make. And also taking the high ground, notably as well. Jade Chen on life support after Winter lays into him as well. But Purdue needs to play this slow as only 1 minute remains and they cannot make any mistakes here.
No, they cannot. And you almost see
Yeah.
Sub 1 getting taken down there. And it's still in a lot of trouble, but Bonesaw gets a little bit over-eager, climbing over the May wall. And now this could be the go button for Purdue in a 5v4 situation. And the cart only about 20 meters or so away from the end of the map.
And it is running down very quickly. Dragons come out from Zetsubo there. Nothing quite happening yet as Tranquility from Tom gets dumped out after Pooter Scooter drops his ultimate as well. But Pooter Scooter cleans it up on Sub 1. Winter in the backline as well. And Miami will come out on top. Only 20 seconds do remain, though. I believe one contest might happen potentially. You don't really have anybody that quick besides Zetsubo
I think that's
here.
why Zetsubo swaps
Yeah.
over to the Sombra to make sure you can get over there as fast as possible and get a touch. But you are going to have to get past pretty much the entirety of this Miami squad without getting spotted here. You do get detected, but when it does happen, you try and get Shocker, but that snap kick is not going to allow you to go any further, and no one else from Purdue gets to the point. So they get stopped just shy of the end of the map.
I think notably the main issue that Purdue had there I don't agree with would be taking out of that high ground. You know, they gave up that high ground and just allowed Winter to really lay down into their backline. Yeah. I mean, Tom wasn't allowed to peek at all, and you had Zetsubo as really the only hero that could challenge Winter on that Widowmaker.
Yeah.
And once Winter is set up on Widowmaker, all he has to do is hit those headshots, and they cannot either peek those angles or make any moves.
I mean, sorry.
No, you can.
But the difference between point A and B and point C for me was that on points A and B, Purdue did a really good job of aggressively pushing on those high grounds and not allowing Winter to get comfortable. On point C, Miami pushed back, gave Winter about 30 seconds to get on a high ground and stay on that high ground, and then from that point on, it felt like Winter was kind of in control of the map. Even if Winter did not necessarily show up on the kill feed super often, just the threat of that instant headshot kill forced Purdue to play a lot more cautiously, way slower than they wanted to.
They are still holding on to the May here for Purdue, which is very interesting because they used that on attack, and I think they mainly had that May to really seal off Pooter Scooter from the rest of his team, and that allowed Purdue to push forward. But May here, you don't really have anybody that can challenge Winter once again. You have Zetsubo, but that is the only hero that can really push Winter back. I mean, you know, there's a lot of damage coming onto Shocker already by Jade Chen as well, but Jade Chen alone will not be able to push Winter back.
No, and notably Bonesaw goes on to the Echo as well, which is a hero we've been seeing a lot today. And I think this is actually a very good read by Miami, assuming that Purdue's going to go on the same composition. Now having a flying DPS, I mean, what are Sub and Zetsubo going to do about that? It's going to be very difficult to take out a hero that moves so unpredictably without a hit scan.
That indeed, you know, you can't really challenge that Echo when she's flying around in there. She just has pretty much free ultimate charge, and I mean, Pooter Scooter lets down into Zetsubo. This might be the move that Miami needs to make to get that first checkpoint. And I mean, they're playing it very conservatively. They don't want to make any mistakes. In this situation, if you make one mistake, I mean, the whole entire team fight goes in the favor of your enemy.
Yeah, absolutely it does, as now the The amplification matrix comes out from Sunath, and it's going to at least allow Purdue a little bit of time to get re-established here on this final corner of point A. But how much time will that have as the answering amplification matrix comes out from Fozix now? Bonesaw has a duplication as well if needed, but unfortunately is not going to be able to use it quite yet as they go down first in the fight. Shocker and Winter, though, from the back are going to take out the remaining members of Purdue one after the other, and the long range reigns supreme this time around. Even though the first pick went to Purdue, the point went to Miami.
Winter in the backline once again absolutely cleaned up that fight. You know, again, there isn't much challenging happening. You know, Zetsubo finally swapped over to that Widowmaker there to challenge both Bonesaw and Winter. I mean, Widowmaker both does very well against Echo and Widowmaker alike. So I think this is a good swap by Zetsubo as well. But notably, that infrared sights are out on Winter, so you don't want to get too cocky now.
Absolutely, you do not, but Miami are going to keep on pushing forward. Ooh. Don't you dare allow Purdue to get set up and comfortable on this high ground. Make sure that your supports can supply healing and damage from afar, and that's exactly what Shocker and Fozix do as we crest the peak of the hill. There is opportunity here for one more fight for Purdue. They're going to be coming in with 3, almost 4 ultimates as well, but all of the momentum is currently on Miami's side.
That Flux only gets J-Chen in it, but he does get taken out after that one. Tom's Transcendence wasn't able to really do much there at all. Sub1 dropping out his Blizzard as well. Team fight is not cleaned up at all. It is just him remaining on the point. You know, I mean, you can stall, but unfortunately, Miami will cap this one.
Notably, though, it is going to be about 30 seconds slower than Purdue was to this point, at about 4.5 minutes. So we just saw Miami hold Purdue on this point for a very long time. We'll see if Purdue can do the same, because that is what it's going to come down to. There is no extra rounds since Purdue didn't make it to the end of the map. It is either 88 meters in 4 minutes, or Purdue goes up to match point.
Bonesaw swapping over to Genji. I honestly think this might be good, but you know, Sub1 swapped as well as Zetsubo on that May and Reaper. I mean, Sub1 just laid into Winter as well. That May right-click is very, very deadly, but Bonesaw is potentially might be able to clean up this fight. It's still going back and forth. Both teams are still kind of even here. I mean, that amplification matrix is dropped out by Fozix. Purdue has to back up a little bit, but still kind of an even fight there.
Pretty even, but the important thing, at least for Miami, is that the point continues to inch closer. They just continue to get more and more footage on this point, as now the Gravitic Flux got from J-Chen, but it doesn't seem to end up getting much of anything. In fact, it is going to be Shocker who gets the first pick onto Zetsubo, and now Pooter Scooter cleaning things up with those Hyperspheres, and Miami is going to be knocking on the door now, because the entire time that fight was happening, the cart was still moving. It is rounding the final corner now. Only about 20 meters separates Miami from the golden box of victory. One more fight should do it.
We still have 3 minutes, so there is a no rush, but I mean, Miami has been absolutely moving this cart at full speed as the Genji Blade comes out from Bonesaw, forcing Sub1 to drop out the Blizzard. Tranquility from Shocker, keeping everybody alive. Nobody is down yet. Still an even fight here, but J-Chen gets taken down. Fozix cleaning up the fight in the back, and Miami might come out with this one, and it looks like they will. They take map 2.
1-1 in the series. We've got ourselves a game here in the losers finals. Both these teams have been fighting it out all weekend long, and it's really great to see that both of them still this late into the weekend are really just pulling out all the stops.
I 100% agree with this MVP. I loved how Winter was just he wasn't challenged at all by Purdue. I mean, He was just able to be comfortable up on this high ground. You could just see he just laid down into the Purdue backline and really secured that win for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, I mean, I can't necessarily blame Purdue. Like, if you don't necessarily have a Widowmaker or a person who's comfortable enough playing Widowmaker on Circuit Royale, then, I mean, that's just Miami picking the right map. Yeah. It's tough if you're Purdue and you don't have someone who can do that. We saw Zetsubo swap over to Widowmaker at the very end of the map, but it was pretty clear that Winter was in the zone at that point. So it's tough. Purdue definitely did the best they could with what they had, but Widowmaker and Circuit Royale have been synonymous with each other since the map was added to the game. Yep. So it would have been very difficult regardless for Purdue to win that one.
It looks like we are off to Flashpoint here, and Suravasa is the pick. We haven't seen a lot of new Junk City being picked. You know, Junker Queen's very viable, and you don't want a lot of Junker Queen being played. But I mean, you could play on Suravasa as
You
well.
could absolutely play it. I've seen a lot of people play it on Suravasa. I think this has just kind of become the King's Row of Flashpoint maps. People scrim it more often, so they feel more comfy on it. Yeah, so it is what it is.
It looks like we will be going in here, but like
these
you said,
teams. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Yeah,
I cut you off. I'm sorry. I'm just noticing that these teams are sometimes teams will take a couple of minutes between each map to like talk things through, but both these teams are like, okay, we're ready. Go.
Yeah,
go,
we're ready. Go.
No team chats. No plans. It's just next map.
And notably, as a caster, you kind of like it. You don't have to sit here and be like, all right, when are we going in? But, I mean, back-to-back, these teams are just wanting to go at it. And that is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But, like, if you're on a roll, you don't want to stop that ball from rolling. So, starting out here, I'm probably going to expect Lucio on both sides. Nope, only a Lucio on Purdue's side. I mean, Lifeweaver probably will get swapped here.
Yeah, I would be... they're having fun, and I can't fault them for having fun. That's what we're all here for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But what Purdue is currently running is what I'm expecting from both teams. Maybe a Junker Queen if you want to be even faster, but Ramatra seems to be generally the brawl tank right now.
So Ramatra on this map is very viable. Ramatra is able to move around these tight corners and dish out a lot of damage. But like I said, both teams hold on to that Lucio. So speeds will be roughly the same, but once you take out a Lucio on the enemy team, your speed is kind of cut down in half, and you're kind of sitting ducks. But starting out here, pretty much even fight. Both teams using the same exact utility there from everyone. Miami notably holds onto this point initially, but Purdue comes back. Zetsubo on everybody's face here, cleaning everything up, just laying down in a Purdue scooter, and the rest of the Purdue team. Purdue coming out with that first capture.
Shades of Samoa there, where both teams are trying to get to the point as fast as possible. Yep. Purdue was just a little bit earlier and was able to take control of that space. And that has allowed for Purdue to get onto the point first. And as you've probably noticed, that percentage ticks up way faster than on control. So Miami's got to get back into this one very quickly. Both teams will probably have a coalescence in this next fight, but not much else.
50% and counting quickly. Pretty much only one team fight remaining for this one. No ultimates besides the coalescences on both sides here. And it'll come out from Miami's Shocker. And another one. But, I mean, both teams are trading back and forth still, 4v4. But Zetsubo is doing a nice job there on Reaper, forcing out that Lucio beat from Fozix. Still back and forth, too close to call here. Both teams have the potential. I mean, it looks like Purdue potentially might bring this one back.
Backing up.
Yep, and it forces Miami back and allows Purdue to capture the first point here.
Very nicely done for Purdue, taking that first fight. That first fight on each flashpoint is so crucial, which is why you see the rest of Miami back off instead of just throwing themselves into that fight. They want to try and prepare themselves for the next flashpoint, but it looks like Purdue actually lucks out here in this random chance. They actually get the flashpoint that's closest to one they're currently at, which means they're going to have that positional advantage going into flashpoint number 2.
Purdue only holds on to 2 ults, and Winter drops out his Blizzard. He gets a nice Blizzard placement there, allows Fozix to clean up J-Chen. Zetsubo goes down notably as well, the main source of damage, and it looks like the Red Hawks will come out on top here after, too close to call maybe. Sub 1 might, well, No, he goes down very quickly there. But, I mean, that was a well-placed Blizzard there by Winter. I completely agree with that one. That really took Jay Chen out of the fight and allowed the Red Hawks just to walk onto the Purdue backline.
Yeah, and it's very efficient as well from Miami. They didn't have to use anything else in that fight, so they're going to have the Annihilation, the Death Blossom, and the Coalescence available to them for this next fight. Purdue, though, they're going to be coming back into this one with Vengeance on the mind and a lot of ultimates in the bank. 2 right now, but the other 3 are coming up soon.
Ultimate will probably be dumped in very quickly, as this is a lot of damage is coming out. Jay Chen dropping out of that Annihilation, as well as another one from Purdue Scooter. All the ultimates are being dropped. Everybody is dropping everything into this one. Sub 1 is cleaning up the Miami Redhawks, though, as Suhanth uses that Coalescence, does a ton of damage, and, you know, Purdue comes out on top, but a lot of ultimates were used by both sides there.
I think Purdue probably invested a little bit more.
Oh, yeah,
though.
a little bit more on
4
Purdue's
ultimates,
side, yeah.
it's just the Death Blossom for them now, and you have a Death Blossom for Bonesaw, but Fozix is going to have that beat available in this next fight, which is not something that Tom can say on the other side. So I think very clear material advantage for Miami here, but if an early Death Blossom can get value, it does not. Zetsubo does not get anything out of that.
Bonesaw drops out his Death Blossom as well. It's still back and forth here. Sub 1 finally cleans up Bonesaw. Purdue comes out on top.
I think I was wrong. I think Zetsubo didn't get any kills, but I think put a lot of damage down on Pooter Scooter that the rest of the team was unable to follow up on. So, well, small apologies there for misinterpreting that. But now we see we are in final fight territory now for both teams, and now Purdue is truly depleted. There's no ultimates coming up anytime soon. Fozix and Winter have ults on the other side.
They're very low numbers indeed. Miami just needs to use these ults wisely. An early Winter Blossom here would really clean up the fight. He does drop it. A really nice place Blizzard there. Forces out that fade from Zetsubo, and he gets taken down. Still 4v4 after Fozix and Zetsubo kind of trade there. Both Reapers are out of the fight now. That main source of damage is out as the Coalescence from both Moiras come out now. It will just be a back and forth fight here. Both teams at 99, and Miami comes out with it. Purdue just didn't recontest there. Even all 4 were there.
I mean, that was a, I think that was a soft letter number moment there. Yeah. And it is going to allow Miami now to jump off of the point. Look at this, actually. We got ourselves that Overwatch version of a street race right now with Miami getting to the point first, but Purdue in hot pursuit.
Ooh, Miami, this is actually a really good play by Miami here to catch him off guard. It forces out that Blizzard from Sub 1, but it might punch him in the back there as Miami was looking to kind of surprise them, but it didn't work in their favor as Tom and Sub 1 work together and clean up that fight.
Very well done for Purdue, not letting go of that point until the very end, and it ends up rewarding them with first point contest, and they only had to use a Blizzard to do it. Jay Chen, Zetsubo, and Tom, all with their ultimates available. The ultimate pendulum has swung back into their favor.
Suhanth has got that Coalescence very quickly. Notably, that Reaper ultimate comes out and gets both of the supports on Miami's side, and the team fight will be cleaned up in a matter of seconds there. That was a really well-placed Reaper Blossom by Zetsubo. Taking out both of those supports was crucial for Purdue there.
Yeah, but because it was so quick, it's going to allow Miami so much time to get back to this point before Purdue fully captures it. So when they do that, they are going to have the ability to really lay down the hurt in the form of that Annihilation, in the form of that Death Blossom. 3
ultimates approach for Purdue, but that Coalescence comes out from Shocker. They're not able to do a lot of damage with that healing, forces out the Annihilation from Jay Chen as Suhanth takes out Bonesaw, that main source of damage that I've been talking about. But Winter and Fozix and Pooter Scooter on 1 HP drops out that Annihilation. Is he going to get taken down? He doesn't, as Fozix drops out that beat, and Miami will get this point. I mean, Pooter Scooter was on 1 HP that whole entire fight there.
It is a little unfortunate that Fozix has to use the beat, but you simply cannot afford to lose Pooter Scooter in that situation because one more fight from Purdue will get them this point percentage. Miami has to start from 0, while Purdue is already up to 99. But luckily, Miami does hold on to their DPS ultimates. Sub is almost up to the Blizzard, but Zetsubo not even close to the Death Blossom. So ultimate advantage to Miami as long as they don't get caught out by Sub's Blizzard.
Both Mays have been placing their Blizzards really well. They place them on top of each other there. Both teams aren't able to really do anything, but Zetsubo takes out Pooter Scooter notably. They're a flying Reaper Blossom there, and it takes out everybody. A really fast team kill there by Miami. Bonesaw was just mid-air there, a flying Reaper.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a flying Beyblade? Like the moment when you just let it rip and then it flies up in the air?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. That was crazy. It looks like Miami's going to just go ahead and be able to take this point here. There is a contest from Tom, but I mean, I don't think it's really going to end up mattering. Miami, and actually it's going to hurt Purdue because now you have to wait for Sunath and Tom to respawn before you could go to flashpoint number 4. We're now on to map point here for Miami. One more flashpoint wins it for them, gets them the lead in the overall series. And they're going to have all of the time in the world to set up here. That is absolutely massive because it'll allow them all to line up for this Shocker Coalescence.
And Shocker Coalescence does come out. Miami playing this similar to the previous fights. Bonesaw cleaning it all up with that Coalescence. And Miami just doing another fantastic job. You know, that Coalescence just gets everybody super low and put Bonesaw in a position just to come in and clean everything up.
Very well done from Miami. And again, that just comes back to the stagger kills that they got at the end of the last flashpoint, allowing them to set up well on this one. You can see now everyone crouching on the side of Miami. They don't want to know where, they don't want Purdue to know where they are, that is. And now as the fight kicks off, Zetsubo very close to that Death Blossom, but are you going to be able to get it up in time? A nice Maywall from Sub is going to section off Winter, but is luckily going to be able to get out. The beats come down from both sides, and Sunath is going to lay down the Coalescence as well. Purdue's putting everything into this fight. Death Blossom now finally is going to take down Pooter Scooter. It was a heavy investment for Purdue, but it ends up rewarding them with the fight win and point control.
It did indeed. You know, Miami does hold on to that 69% capture. So that really, if, you know, Purdue loses this next fight, they only have one more time to recontest this before we potentially might go to a 2-1 here in favor of Miami. So Purdue cannot make any mistakes here. They hold on to that Jade Chen ultimate as well as Sub 1's Blizzard, and it comes out notably very well placed there once again by Sub 1, allowing Purdue to clean this up quickly. But like you said, cleaning up a team fight quickly on Flashpoint might hurt you because this will give them enough time to recontest the point.
Yeah, they'll recontest. You know you don't have the Blizzard to deal with on the other side, and now you have the Annihilation, Death Blossom, Coalescence. Sure, you can combo that somehow. You can make it all work together very well. But regardless, both teams are probably in last fight territory here. Miami, if they can win this fight, they will most likely win the map. Bonesaw down! That's huge!
Zetsubo showing up with a very early kill there. This might give Purdue the momentum that they need. Both Annihilations come out. Everybody on low HP on the Purdue side there. Sunath needs to get this Coalescence quick, but he doesn't. Still an even fight here. Pooter Scooter finishing off pretty much everybody there, potentially in favor of Miami, but Tom is doing a very, very nice job there. Still fighting with his will as Sub 1 and Tom are the only fighters on the Purdue side here. You know, you have to stall out this point as long as you can, but you can also give it up. And Sub 1 finally goes down. Woo! Miami will take control. That was a long fight.
It was long, and it was very scary for Miami, but it looks like they're going to be able to pull this one out. With 80% now left for Purdue, they are going to be able to come back in, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it as a full team. It's just these 3 that they have currently, and no one's looking at Bonesaw.
Dropping it out. Nothing comes out of that one as Tom drops out the Lucio barrier. Blizzards come out as well. Sub 1 still is holding on to it, but 2 are down on the Purdue side. was not able to drop it out in time, and it looks
Canceled.
like Miami will come out with this one.
Yeah, Miami is going to pull it out. And even though Purdue made them fight for every inch of that one, Miami Redhawks, they're going to go ahead and take Saravasa and move up 2-1 in the series now on match series grand finals point.
Notably, Winter's Blizzards were really well played. Sub ones as well. Both Mays did a fantastic job on both sides there.
Yeah.
You know, you really see those May Blizzards, even if you don't get anybody frozen, if you can isolate parts of the enemy team, it will be very, very crucial for your team to make those plays happen. But going off into our next maps, I don't know what our next map pool is.
I believe our next map type is going to be hybrid.
Hybrid. All right, yeah.
And that is going to be interesting. I just don't think if you're Purdue, you want to run a brawl map at this point. Throughout both Samoa and now Saravasa, you've kind of run this kind of brawl v brawl play style, and it, well, I was gonna say it doesn't work out for you, but it did work out for Purdue in the last one. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough though for Purdue to take you back to like a King's Row or a Blizzard World where those brawl comps are very prevalent after you had just lost to that.
It looks like we potentially might take a short intermission here as we've asked for a timeout. So don't go anywhere. We are 2-1 now. Very good. I mean, both sides are doing a fantastic job, notably.
Been a great game so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is losers bracket. I'm very shocked to see how well both teams are playing here. But we will be back very soon. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we are back in our Queen City Clash LAN here. Losers bracket, Miami versus Purdue. Miami up 2-1 here. Miami notably being banning Kings Row there. You know, you did mention Kings Row was one of those map choices there, which, you know, both teams could potentially play well in, but you don't want to allow Purdue to play a brawly comp.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're Miami, the most convincing win that you've had so far has been on that like longer range, pokey, double sniper style kind of composition. So you definitely want to make sure you don't go to Blizzard World where you're going to be forced to play Brawl and things are going to be a lot closer in that case. So instead, we go over to Blizzard World. Which is we've seen Blizzard World a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of been like the default, like, oh, you know, we're not going to ban Blizzard World, but we're also not mad to play it either. So.
Yeah. I think this is probably a safe bet for both teams here. Both teams have similar play styles. They've played the same team composition in pretty much every single map that we've seen. You have that Reaper, that Mei, Ramatra. I mean, Ramatra on Blizzard World is very viable as well. So going in here at Blizzard World, Miami will be on defense and Purdue on the attack here. Purdue has to make a standpoint here. They have to make a note happen. So
it all comes down to this for them. Backs up against the wall. It's either go to a map 5 or bow out in third place here for the Boilermakers. It's going to come down to Blizzard World. And they, of course, do get the opportunity to kind of set the mark to beat as they go on the attack first. Now, I am expecting both teams to probably play a lot of... I would expect some Winston to be played today. I think there's a lot to be said about the high grounds of this map and being able to get up and down those maps, but... Ooh, a little bit of some interesting stuff coming out, potentially. A bunch of things moving around, I will say, from Miami's point of view, and they end up settling back down into what I think is what we expect from this squad. Even in a situation where I was talking about the Winstons and the dives, they go right back to that Ramatra.
It's the same team composition that they've held on to this whole series here. You have that Ramatra, Mei, and Reaper. I mean, minus Circuit Royale. But, I mean, in general, this is what your go-to is. I think, realistically, for all teams alike in Collegiate Overwatch, this is your go-to. This is a really solid team composition. You have pretty much everything that you need. But starting out here, you do hold on to that Ashe, which will be able to deal out some good poke damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough here for Zetsubo because you're constantly going to be shooting from the low ground right now. So it's staying on that Ashe where you're not as, solid at all, as Pooja Scooter is just going to walk in and pummel everyone to death.
Wow.
They kind of dropped on their heads and squashed them like a coconut.
Yeah. I mean, notably, you got a lot of ult charge there for Pooter Scooter, so now he has that advantage over J-Chen in terms of which Ramatra is going to drop that Annihilation first. But, I mean, that was really well played there by Miami. I mean, you just had to drop that Mei wall and just let your Ramatra walk in for free.
Yep. So now we do see Zetsubo go back over to that Reaper, kind of taking the hint and being like, fine, I guess the 300 HP person with shotguns is fair.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and move back over onto Reaper now, and they're trying to get up into the high ground, but they've been very slowed down by these Mei walls. It's been very difficult for them to take a fight on their terms.
A coalescence coming out from both sides here. Both sides use these coalescence pretty much at the same time, notably. I mean, these Mei walls are extremely crucial for both sides here, but Winter finally takes down Zetsubo, that main source of damage, and he does another one to Tom, and it looks like Miami will come out on top again. In these small rooms, it's just a matter of that Mei wall, and whoever you can basically isolate from the rest of the team, because there's nowhere they can go. There's walls all around you. So realistically, Miami once again with very nice gameplay there.
It's a little scary now for Purdue as well, because all of a sudden, half of the time bank has gone away, and you have accomplished pretty much nothing so far. So now they're going to Mei wall the high ground. Oh my gosh, what a great Mei wall from Winter, though. It completely discombobulates Purdue and makes it so that they have to split up.
That forces out the beat from Fozix. Another ultimate there from both sides. Winter with that Blizzard there doesn't really freeze anyone, but forces out J-Chen's ult.
Bonesaw!
Bonesaw with another Flying Reaper ult there, jumping off from high ground. And it looks like he will clean up fight all alone there. And it looks like the Red Hawks once again will come out strong. I mean, Purdue.
Wow, they didn't even get a tick.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue just needs to be able to get a tick or make something happen.
Oh, this is looking tough now because Purdue used so much in that fight to try and make this happen. And once again, they just allow Bonesaw to sneak up behind them. Nothing personnel kid as they just pump them full of shotguns.
Once again, coalescences from both sides. Zetsubo dropping out of that Blossom, takes out Kha'Zix. This might be the momentum that they need, but Tom dropping out of that Lucio barrier as well, giving Purdue time to get back on their feet, but Bonesaw once again up in everybody's faces, cleans up the fight for the Red Hawks. Purdue did get that tick, but it might not be enough.
I mean, it's going to be a very difficult defense from this point on currently. Oh, no. The disrespect. The disrespect on the Zetsubo's name. Aw. Miami clearly feeling themselves now with 20 seconds left on the board, and Bonesaw with another Death Blossom ready. This is the last chance here for Purdue. They need to get that last 25% to the Blizzard from sub. But here comes Bonesaw from the top ropes again.
Unfortunately, I take my words back. Zetsubo goes down, and it looks like Bonesaw is still going to go unchallenged, but he does finally get taken down by J-Chen. That Blizzard from Winter on point, doesn't let anybody contest, and it looks like Miami will clean this one up again. Wow. That was actually really, really good gameplay there by Miami. They did a fantastic job there with that Winter and Bonesaw.
And that was a statement from the Red Hawks if I have ever seen one. My goodness, after 3 very close matches to full hold the Boilermakers with their backs against the wall, that is huge and goes a long way towards showing the resilience of this Miami, Ohio squad. Now, it's looking a little dire for Purdue right now, but the silver lining is that they did get that tick, so there is a win condition here for them. They just have to do what Miami did to them, and a little better.
Yes, exactly. They cannot make any mistakes here at all. Miami executed all of those team fights pretty much perfectly there. You know, you lost 1 or 2 people here and there, but, I mean, notably, Bonesaw was able to clean up, or Winter, if you will, as well. But, I mean, starting out here, you cannot lose pretty much any of your DPS here. You're going to really rely around Sub 1 and Zetsubo really to get those early eliminations to secure those team fights.
I feel like the goal here is really just try not to let Miami get close to you at all. Just keep kiting out of the way, keep giving Zetsubo and Tom opportunities to keep volleying shots into Miami, and hope that you can get a pick before they get too close, because as soon as you do, I mean, the Bonesaw Reaper and the Moira, they're just going to run over you.
Pretty much. I mean, looking at the team composition that, you know, Miami will be running, they don't have that speed anymore. They're going to really go for more healing resilience here. You got to stay alive, and you just want to get up in their faces, really. I mean, Winter is on that Tracer, and Bonesaw still on that Reaper. So you want to look towards to shut down them first. But starting out here, getting up on the high ground potentially for Miami might be crucial for them.
Yeah, I mean, it is crucial, and notably, Purdue has immediately given up that forward high ground. They're putting everything on being as far back as possible, and Purdue, knowing that, is going to do the wraparound and is going to immediately close the distance and put tons and tons of pressure on to Purdue, who has to fall back. And Sumanth goes down. That is the main source of healing for Purdue. The Boilermakers are looking in a tough spot right now. Zetsubo from the top trying to do whatever they can to even this out, and will take down 1 from Kha'Zix, but Pooter Scooter on the point is going to clean them up. Miami, Ohio have been fighting their way through the losers bracket all day, and they have earned their opportunity to rematch against Cincinnati for the Queen City Clash title.
It is time to see the UC v Miami, what we've been waiting for, the Battle of the Bell, like you mentioned before. Unfortunately, Purdue wasn't able to really do anything on Blizzard World. I personally thought that this was a good pick for both sides of the teams, but I mean, realistically, Purdue just wasn't able to make any statement happen at all. It's just Miami executed it perfectly. But we do have our grand finals coming up. It's both of the biggest significant teams in our Queen City clash, and it is Miami, Ohio versus the University of Cincinnati, the host. So that will be something to watch for here in about, I think an hour? Yeah. Hour or shorter.
Think about. At 4 is when it's scheduled, but if both teams are ready, we can.
Oh yeah,
I don't mind.
We will go into an intermission. The stream will not stop, so be sure to stay in your seat. Be ready for this one. I guarantee you that this is going to be a very, very good game.
If you go somewhere, I will be sad. So don't do it.
All right, we will see you very soon. Thank you all for joining us.